On August 16, 2014, a mysterious lime green blimp adorned with the logo of the electronic artist Aphex Twin was spotted flying over London. This unusual sighting quickly made the rounds online, igniting rumors of a new Aphex Twin album, his first in well over a decade. The rumors later came true, and that fall the world saw the release of Syro, the triumphant comeback from the legend of acid techno. What fans couldn't have guessed, however, was the unusual promotion that preceded the album. It was a straight-up bonkers marketing campaign that perfectly aligned with Aphex Twin's subversive persona, while also serving as a tongue-in-cheek jab at the music industry. Let's take a look at how it all unfolded. Back in 2014, it had been 13 long years since Aphex Twin's last album, and aside from releasing a few projects under a couple of other monikers, Aphex Twin, or Richard D. James, had stayed relatively quiet. Fans wondered if they would ever see another album from the wonder child of electronica. That all changed, however, when a mysterious seller listed a long-lost record of James's for sale on Discogs. The Caustic Window LP was recorded during the late 80s and early 90s, but its official release was cancelled, and only a few test pressings were ever produced. Over the years, the record turned to myth, earning the reputation as the holy grail of electronic music. Now, it was suddenly for sale. The asking price? $13,500. Kind of out of budget for the average fan, or any normal person for that matter. But things took an unexpected turn when the We Are the Music Makers forum, with the approval of Aphex Twin and his label, ingeniously rallied the community to buy the album through a Kickstarter campaign. For a pledge of $16, each backer would get a digital copy, legally ripped from the original LP. The campaign was a massive success, far surpassing its goal, and for the first time, this once lost album was made available to the public. As a side note, the record was later auctioned off on eBay for the final price of a whopping $46,300, making it officially one of the 10 most expensive records ever sold. With that said, the key thing here is that the Kickstarter generated quite the buzz for Aphex Twin, and speculations around new material ensued. The fact that James had previously stated in interviews that he had a whole 6 albums already completed further added to this hypothesis. So, if Aphex Twin were to make a comeback, this seemed like the perfect time. But how would he do it? Only the year before, we had seen his label mates, Ports of Canada, come up with a viral marketing campaign that brilliantly intertwined real life and multimedia. Could Aphex Twin conjure something similar? Picture this. It's Saturday. You've just woken up after a big night out. You drag your sorry ass outside to get some well-needed sunlight. You look up at the sky, and above you, there's a giant lime green blimp. Londoners must have been confused when the mysterious blimp was spotted flying over the capital on August 16. Aphex Twin fans, however, would of course instantly recognized the iconic logo, and the fact that 2014 was written on the backside was enough to set chat rooms around the world on fire. Fans got even more reason to rejoice when, the same day, the logo was graffitied at several locations in New York City. Something new was definitely coming, and coming soon. Unlike Ports of Canada's marketing that had fans guessing until the end, Aphex Twin announced the album just 2 days after the initial tease. However, he did it with a twist. On August 18, James tweeted. Now, clearly this was no regular URL. The .onion domain indicated a site hosted on the dark web, a mysterious part of the internet, which provides anonymity through layers of encryption, and accessible via the Tor browser, short for the Onion router. The most tech-savvy fans wasted no time and quickly made their way over there to encounter the album's title, Syro, along with the tracklist. The site quickly gained traffic in the hundreds of thousands. At last, the long-awaited return of Aphex Twin was a fact, although we still hadn't got a release date. On August 21, Warp Records officially announced that Syro's release would occur on the 22nd and 23rd of September, as well as unveil the album's eccentric cover art. The cover appeared to depict some sort of receipt, featuring strange entries like outdoor postering in Italy and online advertising in Norway, among many others. I'll get back to the artwork in a bit, because in order to get the whole picture, we'll need to see the complete packaging, which was revealed later. On this date, we also got a brand new Aphex Twin bio in the form of a hilarious press release filled with all kinds of mumbo-jumbo, like whenever one of the most celebrated and influential electronic fartists, Richard D. James, or how about this one? That same year, James Acid Shithouse, to promote the song, on a biscuit found at his label Reflex Records, selected Flambient Works moving to London and release 85 to 92, and so on. The bio was accompanied by a portrait of Aphex Twin's folded face, and the presentation as a whole perfectly embodied James's notoriety as music's biggest troll. On September 1st, the rollout intensified when Warp added an element of audience participation. Fans could now enter a lottery to win tickets to exclusive listening parties of Syro around the world. You only needed to submit your email address, and winners would be picked at random. 2 days later, Syro's complete packaging was revealed. Remember that odd-looking cover resembling a receipt? Well, turns out it went way deeper than that. Designed by the legendary graphic design studio The Designers Republic, Syro's artwork showcased a complete checkout list of every single cost in the manufacturing, marketing and promotion of the album as a physical product. The cost, and consequently the artwork, varied depending on the format, whether CD, LP or digital, and was proportional to the album's retail price. This allowed consumers to clearly see how much of their money was spent and how it was distributed in the album's production. Here's chief designer Ian Anderson.
We tried to do it so that if you add up all the kind of 0.001p or 0.06p or whatever, if you add up all those things, it should come to the value of what you've paid for the album, so you can see where all of your things. So obviously mastering, but there's also the cost of the bike to take the master tapes to the cutting room, or there's the cost of sandwiches at the press launch, sandwiches and coffee and catering. There's the cost of printing some promo stickers in Melbourne and Sydney in Australia, and the cost of getting someone to stick them up around those cities.
All these things that you don't think about.
Exactly. Richard and I, we kind of like the idea that if you looked at that list, you could go and make Syro yourself. And so on the inner sleeve, there's also a list of every single piece of hardware, software, or any other kind of way of creating a sound, like including his mum and dad singing and things. There's a list of all the things that have contributed to making a sound on the album. So, it's almost like a deconstructive thing that, if you look at all that, then you should be able to make the album yourself. And if you look at all the cost, you should be able to put the album out yourself. But of course you can't, and that's the X factor that's missing between making the music and it being a product.
On September 4th, Syro's first and only single, Mini Pops 67, premiered on Zane Lowe's evening show on BBC Radio 1. The day after, the first listening parties took place in London and Paris, where the lucky lottery winners got to hear the album in full. In the following days, subsequent listening parties were held in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Toronto, Brussels and Utrecht. Apart from this image from a Reddit user who attended a listening party at a non-disclosed location, I couldn't find any other photos of these super exclusive events. Apparently, attendees were strictly asked to turn off their phones, and in some cases, even hand them in. Anyway, for a select few, the first Aphex Twin album in 13 years was now out in the open. The rest of us mortals had to wait until the official release. Syro was released on September the 19th and met with universal acclaim. Pitchfork named it as one of the best records of the decade, and it also managed to snatch a Grammy Award for Best Dance Electronic Album. Given Syro's ironic commentary on the music industry, from the transparent artwork to the bogus press release, James probably had a good laugh when the business he's trolled for so long couldn't even pronounce his name at the award show.
This Grammy goes to Syro, Aphex Twin. The winners are not here. Again, I thought I saw them coming. Sorry about that.
But Syro was about more than just the music. It was an entire event made possible by its ingenious marketing. On the whole, Warp Records really is at the forefront of these kinds of forward-thinking album releases. By the time this video comes out, we'll have seen the release of Tom York and Mark Pritchard's album, Tall Tales, alongside its accompanying feature film. And as mentioned, in 2013, Boards of Canada had their fans sleuthing all across the internet for clues surrounding the album Tomorrow's Harvest. While Syro's promotion wasn't quite as cryptic as that, it was nevertheless a masterclass in marketing, with elements of mystique, excitement, audience participation, and, not least, subversion. From inserting his face in spectrograms to producing remixes without hearing the original and constantly lying to the press, Aphex Twin really is the master of trolling, and he further proved it with the release of Syro. With Syro, Aphex Twin cemented his status as not only a pioneer of electronic music, but also as a breaker of the norm. So here's to Aphex Twin, a true original and a renegade of the music industry.